In this episode, we speak with David Frigeri, Managing Director of AI at Slalom. David leads Slalom's artificial intelligence business and strategy across the East region. He oversees AI go-to-market initiatives, develops high-performing teams, and delivers revenue growth by building innovative and industry-specific AI solutions tailored to clients. Earlier in his career, for nearly a decade, David played a key role in scaling Internap from a pre-IPO startup with $36 million in revenue to a company generating over $300 million. David has been recognized for developing innovative AI solutions for various domains, from chronic wound image recognition and patient readmission risk models to predicting media consumption and optimizing mobile commerce conversion. I'm your host, RJ Lumba. We hope you enjoy the show. If you like the episode, click to follow.
RJ Lumba is the Executive Chairman of Market Insight Media and Managing Partner of GrowthCap. He is the host of Top Consultant, a podcast featuring today's best consultants who advise and provide services to corporations, governments, nonprofits, and other organizations. Executives and key decision makers tune in to Top Consultant to identify the most knowledgeable and experienced consultants for their most important projects.
David, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us today. It's a delight to be with you.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to share some thoughts.
I'm really excited about this because obviously AI has been front and center for most all companies and executives over the recent years. Let's start off with what you think CEOs and executives might miss or fail to appreciate about how AI should be leveraged by their company.
Yeah, when I chat with CEOs, CDOs, CTOs, CFOs, a lot of the conversation really revolves around their people. And it's really important to really drive the ultimate value realization. It comes down to the people. Are the people going to use the AI technology, and that then leads to your adoption rate, and adoption rate ultimately leads to your ROI. So when you're having those conversations, I like to keep it really simple for them. And it's, from an adoption perspective, I've always thought that it's a lot easier, more effective to help people stop doing things that they don't like doing with AI, as opposed to trying to make people use AI in a way that they may or may not have even asked. And so really, when I have the conversations, it starts first and foremost with the people.
Excellent. One thing very unique about your background, which maybe is different than other consultants in the industry, is that you used to be an operator and helped rapidly scale a company. It seems like early on in your career. Can you tell us about that experience as a general manager at Internap?
Yeah, I don't come from what you would call a traditional consulting background. Really, I come from what I would refer to much more of a professional services, where my experience is really in implementing AI technologies or applying AI technologies as part of an overall solution. So at Internap had developed internet route optimization algorithms to select the most efficient, fastest path between point A and point B on the internet. And in a way that it got applied was, our measurements would be things like latency and packet loss and load and cost, and taking all those things into consideration to select best path. But to affect it, we had to make updates to the internet routing table itself in order for that packet to traverse to the appropriate path. And so that was really my first real world kind of business application of AI. And then I was able to move into video analytics in the context of doing things like pre-positioning video at the edge of networks in anticipation of certain numbers of users or consumers who would want to watch a video. Went into mobile from there around using ML for conversion optimization, and then really found my way into kind of straight up AI ML consulting for clients.
And at Internap, you helped scale the company from 36 million to 300 million. I mean, that 10x increase is probably quite intriguing to prospective clients that you're working with, and especially those companies in the growth phase or rapid growth phase. What could you tell us about that experience and how you think the company was able to scale in such a dramatic fashion over those 10 years you were there?
Yeah, it was an incredible culture. It was a culture of just incredible generosity of the founders of the organization. So we all felt like we were pulling in the same direction. Everyone had the same opportunity. It was a pre-IPO when I joined. Internap introduced me really to this first notion of a Pareto principle as it relates to target markets, customers, use cases around respecting the fact that more times than not, that top 20%, 20 of your customers are going to represent 80% of your revenue. They're going to represent a disproportionate influence on your roadmap. They are most likely your toughest customers. They're your toughest critiques. They give you great guidance. And it was really us focusing constantly on if we only had a business that was focused on these top 20%, how would we run the business? What products would we develop? What enhancements would we make to the algorithms to better serve that top 20%? Because if you're able to serve that top 20%, then you're able to serve the other 80% just as effectively. So I would say that was the first lesson about scale that I learned from Internap.
Excellent. There's a lot of consulting firms out there, and presumably, as a management team is looking to hire a consulting firm, there's the obvious names, the major firms. There's also some boutiques. There's specific experts in certain fields, maybe that lean towards more towards the edge of what's going to happen. But give us overall a backdrop of Slalom and, maybe what you find particularly unique and competitive about their offering compared to others.
Yeah, Slalom is a very special place to work. And, I'm on this call today because I'm standing on many, many shoulders, giving me this opportunity to do that. That being said, Slalom has been an organization that has reinvented itself many times over. And historically, our differentiation with our clients were we were faster, we delivered higher quality, and frankly, we were just nicer to work with. Some of it had to do that we were there in the office with the clients, building this really tight local kind of relationships. But on the latter two, it's about like we had lower bugs in our development. Our velocity, we delivered more stories in a given sprint than customers' alternatives. And we had tons of data, and we still have tons of data that demonstrate that to clients. But we weren't really satisfied with that. And so we took it upon ourselves to recognize where our gaps are. And one big gap was in our industry expertise. And although we were better, faster, nicer to work with, we weren't bringing as much to the table as we could have. And so now we're really investing heavily in our expertise in life sciences, media and communications, financial services. And this overall notion is that we really want to bring more to our clients, more just not from our historical strengths, but now more in terms of us really demonstrating that we have already thought about our clients' top problems. We've formed a POV, a point of view. We've even built some demonstration capabilities of how we think we can solve those big problems for our clients. And that's really what I'm excited about, is this next evolutionary step for Slalom as we go down that path.
Excellent. If you could indulge me, if we could go into some of these areas of expertise in healthcare, can you tell us about how you're looking at AI to play a role with your healthcare clients or, in general with the healthcare sector?
So healthcare can be a big category, right? So I'll
Mhm.
kind of break it down. We break it down from provider, payer, life sciences. It's the way that we kind of think about it. But across the board, what we try to do is we try our best to start with an outside-in approach. We start from the patient's perspective. What are the patients trying to do? what's the patient's experience? Where are those opportunities for the patients? And then we work backwards for the client in terms of, okay, what would be the business outcome for a health system if we were able to use AI to reduce the time from when the patient sets the appointment to when that appointment is actually held? And let's focus on what are the points of friction that may extend that appointment date out. And let's see if we can't use AI to optimize that experience. So that's a big part of what Slalom does. But in order for us to deliver that, it takes a lot more than just our blue blood AI experts. Slalom has excellent change management capabilities, and these are change managers who have done multiple AI projects. It's not like they kind of learned it over the weekend and all of a sudden they're on an AI project. Same thing from an experience perspective. Our XD team is just incredible in terms of their creativity, in terms of how they can use AI to solve particular business problems. On the payer side, a lot of my experience was also in healthcare with a traditional provider payer. On the payer side, we're really looking to bring efficiencies to bear. So think about explanation of benefits. So you have to bring all these different documents into one setting. This is an area where we're developing really cutting edge capabilities for our payers. We're also doing non-development work for the payer community, meaning we've done large projects with AWS Q in terms of enabling their employees to be able to use these tools more effectively, more confidently, more efficiently than before. So not everything Slalom does has to be hands-on keyboards. We also recognize that a lot of our value is in terms of making our customers successful with AI. And then in the life sciences area, we've done a lot of work in the supply chain, improving supply chains for life sciences organizations. On the commercial side, think brand analytics, think best-in-class products. So best-in-class products is, for example, is let's benchmark how one life sciences product measures up against another. What are the contributing factors? And then we use Gen AI to actually make recommendations in terms of the pricing or the go-to-market strategy that could help elevate that customer's product to being something objectively best in class based upon the measures that we agreed to at the beginning. So that's kind of a casserole of different kind of capabilities that we're really proud of in the healthcare life sciences area.
Super helpful. And then maybe going into another area, can you tell us about AI and its role in media and communications?
Yeah, wow, what a time it is to be in media and communications. And we're taking an interesting approach. I kind of think of our approach to media and comms as a bottoms-up approach and a top-down approach. So from a bottoms-up approach, we're helping our customers at the lowest level take cost out of their large data processing jobs. So we have partnerships with NVIDIA and AWS and Microsoft, where we're helping customers make this move from CPUs to GPUs that are taking out a ton of that compute cost. That's an example of a bottoms up. Kind of the next layer up, think about their advertising businesses, for example, and using machine learning to help them completely sell out their ad inventory. So it's all about getting the right time slot, the right length commercial into that right time. And so we work a lot with them in terms of understanding what are the right combinations of 30-second ads, 15-second ads, who's the target audience to really help them sell through all that inventory and minimize the make goods. Then from a top-down perspective, we're really excited about some of the product innovations that we're working with our customers right now, particularly in the streaming, allowing consumers to have a much more interactive experience with their video on demand assets that we think will drive engagement and time on site.
And David, how about financial services? Is this also an area where you also look to provide your AI expertise in?
Financial services is an exciting area for us right now, and I think it's a great example of where Slalom has been able to really exercise some of this new industry expertise that maybe a year or 2 years ago we would not have had. And an example of that is we've built what we refer to as an adaptive fraud detection solution using a combination of traditional machine learning and Gen AI. And in this solution, what we're doing is we're taking a look at any kind of fraudulent transactions now, if it's loans or bank transactions. And basically what we're doing is addressing a issue that the industry has been faced with, where a lot of the fraud solutions right now are static, kind of business rules centric, or at best they are machine learning, but by definition, machine learning is learning based upon previous transactions, stuff that has happened in the past and it's going to predict the probability of it happening in the future, which is necessary but not sufficient because the fraudsters are always coming up with new ideas. So what the Slalom team came up with was this idea is, hey, let's use Gen AI to generate new potential fraudulent transactions or vectors. And we'll use those potential ones to train our machine learning algorithms so they actually think that they happened in the past. So when they do occur in the future, the ML is able to flag that. And then we take it a step further. Once that fraud is detected, we actually use Gen AI to produce next best actions for that call center agent. For example, here's why this transaction was identified as fraudulent. Here are our recommended next steps. Now, we don't proclaim that this is, a solution that a customer just plugs in and starts working. This is kind of a way for us to demonstrate to our customers our depth of capabilities, and then we collaborate with our customers to build something bespoke for them.
Maybe a good way to demonstrate or showcase what Slalom brings to bear when it works with a client is maybe your favorite example, how you came into a situation and maybe uncovered certain issues, problems, ideas, and helped the client then pursue a new path forward or maybe improve an existing operational line.
I'm going to use one that's like super close to the hearts of a lot of us in Slalom. And there's a childhood cancer, it's referred to as DMG. Don't ask me to explain, say the whole Latin term. But basically, it's a cancer that sets at the stem of the spine. And the children wind up developing kind of like a Lou Gehrig's like kind of symptoms. But these are really young kids who suffer from this. And we were brought into this situation where it was a very painful experience. Parents were having a hard time getting their children's data released so it could get into research organizations so that AI could then be applied to come up with maybe some tailored solutions, therapies particularly for that child. And there was multiple facets or layers to this. One was just allowing the parents to give permission to release their children's data. There was a need to distribute that data to the different research organizations so they could actually do their own independent research. And then there was the machine learning capabilities, both in the private sector as well as with public institutions. And Slalom was able to work at all three of those layers through our experienced designers and front-end developers. From an infrastructure perspective, using APIs to help facilitate and accelerate the approval of the release process for the patient data. And then from a machine learning perspective as well. And it's that kind of really meaningful work that excites Slalom's consultants, because we know that we're really living our purpose, which is, help people and organizations to dream bigger, move faster, and create better tomorrows for all. And so this is a great encapsulation, and folks can Google that to learn a little bit more about that case.
Excellent. Okay, last two questions. The first is, can you tell us about a person who has had a profound influence on you?
Wow, there's been so many. My stats advisor, Wesley Perkins, probably one of the first ones, because it did not come naturally to me up front, but Wesley was one who had great patience, not only for my learning style, but also for maybe some of my shenanigans in class as well. So I really go back to that depth of my original kind of academic training overall. But then other individuals who really helped me appreciate the combination of both the business aspects of AI along with AI itself. And in that case, I would identify Ryan Kaplan, who was the founder of Cold Light Solutions. And I led services for Ryan through the acquisition by PTC. But Ryan was and is today this kind of renaissance, knows the business, but he can also go really deep into the algorithms. And is this individual who's able to have really credible conversations with the C-suite, as well as credible conversations with, high-end data scientists. And I always thought that that was a great model to emulate.
Excellent. Last question. Can you tell us about a charity, cause, or other endeavor that you're passionate about?
Thank you so much. There's two. They both go by Hope. There's Hope Partnership, which is a school here in North Philadelphia. It's solely, exclusively funded by itself. The kids are phenomenal. It just gives me so much confidence in our future when I see all this untapped human capital that we have, and we're working to AI enable them. The other one is Hopeworks, which is led by Dan Roten. And Dan is one of the most sophisticated business leaders I've ever met in my life. And Hopeworks takes young adults who are transitioning from some very difficult way of life. It could be just poverty, it could be incarcerated, whatever it is, and puts them on a path to full employment. And they have such a positive track record that I encourage everyone who may be listening to this to take a look at Hope Partnership and Hopeworks if you may like to help out.
Wonderful. Well, David, want to thank you again for taking the time for this conversation. It's been a great one.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. This is great.